To my right, Mr. Greg Pappas from Montgomery, and to my left, Mr. David Dodd from Fort Payne. Our procedures today will be as follows. We have one advisory opinion to consider, FCPA's civil appeal and other matters on this agenda that we will take up in new business. We will hear complaints in executive session for two reasons. One, because we will discuss the good name and character of certain individuals, and two, because complaints, evidence, witnesses, and testimony before the Commission are covered under the provisions of the Grand Jury Secrecy Act. We will return to open session to vote. If anyone present would like to be heard concerning matters on the agenda today, I ask you to please sign in at the table in the center of the room. We request that cell phones be turned off during the open session, and if necessary, they may be left on silent. At this time, I would like to recognize Senior Pastor Frank Boland, who will give our invocation. And he's from Eastmont Baptist Church in Montgomery.
Moment. Father, for 52 years you have given this great state this commission to lead, to guide with principles of integrity and justice and hope. Our prayer today is that you would give guidance and wisdom to the members of this commission, to those who will present cases before them, and that they will lead and make decisions based upon righteous understanding of humanity and what is good and what is lawful. I pray for the personal integrity of each member of this commission, that it would be guarded in such a way that the corporate integrity of this group would not ever come into question, that you would free them from all sense of bias, and that they would work to achieve the common good for the people of this state. God, I pray you grant them courage where courage is needed, not just today, but at any point as they carry out their duties and responsibilities, that you would bless their work, that it would serve as a model of honor and transparency, not just for Alabama, but for these United States, and that their work would bring honor and glory to your name as these people, those of us known as citizens of Alabama, would live righteously before you, upright, with integrity and with hope. God, I thank you for men like this who serve our great state, and may their work today be a blessing unto your great name. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Boland. At this time, we will consider old business. Each of the commission has had an opportunity to review the minutes from our October 1st meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the October 1st minutes? Second. It's been moved and properly second. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The motion is carried unanimously. New business, and at this time, we have one advisory opinion for consideration, and I call on the commission staff to present the new advisory opinion.
Thank you. Our request for an advisory opinion comes from Ms. Kimberly Dodds. She is a former employee for the Alabama Department of Human Resources. She retired on July 1st of this year. She is licensed to practice law and has returned to private practice. She is also employed as a part-time administrative law judge for DHR on an as-needed basis, and she does not represent ADHR currently. ADHR receives permanent custody of foster children whose parents' parental rights have been terminated, and once termination occurs, the children are often adopted by foster parents with the consent of DHR as the custodial agency. During her 17 years with DHR, Ms. Dobbs represented them at trial court and appellate levels in dependency and termination cases. The question she asks is whether the revolving door provisions of the Ethics Act prohibit her from representing foster parents in adoption proceedings with DHR's consent in cases where the employee where she did not appear or participate as counsel or as an administrative law judge. The revolving door provisions of the Ethics Act prohibit former public employees from engaging in certain activities for a period of 2 years after they leave their public position, including a prohibition against representing clients or a private employer before your previous agency, or for participating or acting as an attorney in a matter where you personally participated in the direct regulation audit or investigation. Here, Ms. Dobbs' representation of foster parents in adoption proceedings where she has not participated in the matter as either an employee of DHR or as an administrative law judge would not constitute her representation of clients before DHR. Rather, she will be representing them for the court, similar to former employees of a DA's office whose former employees represent criminal defendants, but with much less interaction with her former employer. That's a reference to a previous advisory opinion that we gave to those individuals. Therefore, this opinion would find that the revolving door provisions do not prohibit her from representing foster parents in these adoption proceedings where she did not participate as counsel or as an admin law judge.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve one of these advisory opinions?
I move to approve AO 2025-06.
Second?
Second.
All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Opposes nay. The motion carries. Thank you. Next is on the new business, the FCPA appeal of civil penalties imposed by the Secretary of State. At this time, the Commission will consider appeals from civil penalties which the Secretary of State's office has imposed. Under the FCPA, the Secretary of State office is charged with addressing civil penalties against any person who fails to timely file their campaign report. Once the office imposes these penalties, they may be appealed to the Commission within 14 days. Upon a finding of good cause, the Commission can reduce or set aside the civil penalty. On this issue, the person upon whom the civil penalty has been imposed bears the burden of proof. I again call on the staff to present these appeals for our consideration.
The first appeal we have comes from Arthur Lee Day Jr., and they are appealing violations 2 through 6. They paid a fine previously and are appealing these 5. The Secretary of State's office's recommendation is to reduce the fine and offenses to 1, so that would be the just the amount for the second fine, which is $241.26. Is Mr. Day here today? Would you like to speak to the Commission? You do not have to, but you're welcome to if you would like. If you would, then I do want to just inform you beforehand that an intentional violation of the FCPA does have criminal consequences, and so anything you say today, if prosecution were to arise from it, could be used against you in court. And with that being understood, would you still like to speak to the Commission?
Yes.
Okay, and then I'll have the court reporter swear you in.
Raise your right hand, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Please proceed, and I can turn this microphone on for you. I'll have one of this
Okay.
one.
Thank you first of all, good morning, and thank you all for giving me the opportunity just to say a few words. When this occurred, the reason I was late, I had deaths in my family. My wife passed away, and I was doing a funeral arrangement at that time. And then after that, I went into the hospital for a few days. And my secretary and I started putting that information into the system. when the website changed, the system failed. It failed twice, matter of fact. And we was talking to the Secretary of State supervisor and the state personnel that handled the website for the state. They both was on the phone at the same time. We was talking to them from Phoenix City. And while they was on the phone, the website failed again. So we had a problem trying to get that information in. But we had most of the information fed into the system prior to a few months back. And I made a special trip over to the Secretary of State office, and we got that done.
Right. At this time, I'll turn it over to Mr. Mike Jones, the Secretary of
Okay.
State, if he has anything to add. And thank you, Mr. Day.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I actually spoke with Mr. Day prior to this commission meeting briefly, and let him know that our records reflect that his first violation, he did pay that violation directly, so that he did not make an appeal. These are his first appeals for violations 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And and I explained to Mr. Day, our normal policy is that because we know about life situations, this is also municipal. We've had a countless number of municipal issues that we expected, and so we've been working with quite a few people running for office. But to be consistent, if we have 4 or greater violations that are appealed, we ask that one of the violations be upheld and that the remainder be dismissed, for the very same reasons that life happens. And we also are not trying to be a gotcha office. We're trying to teach as we go through this process. But we have to keep a standard. And to be consistent and fair to everybody that comes in front of us, we try to keep that standard. And I explained the same to Mr. Day before we got here.
And the amount of fine that's recommended?
Sir, go ahead.
So since he's already paid the first fine, they are recommending that we're upholding one of the violations that's being appealed, and so that first violation after the actual first one that's been paid is the second violation, and that's the fine for that is $241.26.
So the fines they're scaled, and they're also based on the amount of activity in a particular cycle that they file upon. So that's statutory. That's not something that we take and are arbitrary about. That's also very consistent.
Okay. All right. Okay,
That's
thank
all.
you. Okay, Brian.
Yeah, it's up to you.
I move to reduce the number of offenses to 1 and to assess a fine of $241.26.
And that would, just a small correction, that would bring the offenses down to 2, because they already paid the first fine, so this would bring it to a total offenses of
2?
2.
Okay. I'll correct that and move to reduce the number of offenses to 2, and the fine assessed to $241.26.
Second? Second. Okay, moved and properly second. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
The next one we have is Beatrice Collins. She is appealing 4 violations with a total of $940. Is Ms. Collins here today? She writes in her appeal that she made an error in previously submitting her campaign finance report. When completing the report, she mistakenly listed her campaign donations received under the funds in the bank section instead of correctly as contributions. She has since updated the reports to reflect the correct information and has included the names of all individuals who donated to the campaign. She says to note that the funds in bank section should now reflect a balance of 0, as the original entry was incorrect. She apologizes for any confusion this may have caused and appreciates your understanding as she works to maintain accuracy and compliance in her reporting. The Secretary of State's recommendation in this one again is to uphold the first fine and offense and dismiss the remainder. So that would leave it with a fine of $190.
Okay.
At this point, I'll turn it over.
And yes, sir. Mr. Chairman and members, this, once again, to be consistent, this is the same rule we've applied to everybody in this situation. And we do that for obvious reasons, to be fair and to be uniform in application. That's just the right thing to do. And we've maintained that throughout Secretary Allen's time in office. So that's what we will continue to do.
Okay, very good.
I would add one more thing, and it's mainly because of these municipals. And as you see, a lot of this list has municipals beside it. We are, during the course of this municipal cycle, and this is the first big cycle that municipals came under the Secretary of State's office for FCPA filings. In the past, they were filed in the local probate office. So this is the first time they come in front of us. We have spent a great deal of effort trying to educate and teach because we expected this. I actually prepared you guys for this as well. I will say this: the number of total problems was actually less than what we were expecting. We're hopeful that if we continue to educate and train, that it will continue to come down substantially. But we also, during the course of the municipal election cycle, saw quite a few other things that we, in fact, we're coincidentally meeting with League of Municipalities today and some of their attorneys and representatives to go over some recommendations that we're going to suggest to help, once again, train and educate municipalities and municipal leaders throughout the state.
Okay. Thank you. Do I hear a motion?
I'll move to uphold the first offense and fine in the amount of $190 and to dismiss the remaining cases.
Properly second. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Opposes nay. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
The next one we have for you today is Bradley Ekdahl. He is appealing 5 offenses with a total of $1,566.58. The Secretary of State's office's recommendation again is to uphold the first fine and offense, and in this case that would bring the fine down to $227.58. Is Mr. Ekdahl here today?
I'm here on behalf of Mr. Ekdahl. I'm the campaign's treasurer. My name is Chris McKay. I'll say a few words.
All right, sure. Go. Did you hear the earlier?
I did, yes, and I'm an attorney. I'm very familiar with Miranda.
Okay, great.
Waive all that. Somebody to swear me in.
Yes, just raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I did. Commissioners, thank you for taking the time to hear me on this. My name is Chris McKay. I'm the treasurer for the Bradley Earl Ekdahl campaign for circuit judge. I'm here to accept responsibility for the error in the reporting. The issue that I ran into was I wasn't properly using the website. I have familiarity with using the reporting system before. I'm the treasurer for my county's GOP, and I've used it for several years. On this one, the issue that I ran into or I was unfamiliar with is a term called the threshold date. So in the setup of this campaign, which I didn't do, I was added later because I'm supposed to be the guy that knows what he's doing. But in the setup of this campaign, you're supposed to elect a threshold date for when you're supposed to begin submitting the reports. I didn't know that that had not been set up. I was under the impression that I would automatically get these emails that we get all the time that say, you have a report due, you have a report due. So it wasn't until September 15th when the website changed that it then prompted me that you need to set up the threshold date. However, what I was doing was I was reporting the transactions. I was submitting all the contributions and the expenditures, but when I would go to the website to click file reports, I would actually get a message that said no report due. And that is because I hadn't selected, or the campaign, we hadn't set up the threshold date. So that is the mistake I made. That is all my fault. I'm supposed to be the guy that knows what he's doing, and we didn't. After the change on September 15th with the new website, I went back and selected the old threshold date, and then it said that we have all these failure to report. So I'm here to accept responsibility for that and answer any questions you guys may have.
Same recommendation, members.
First offense and the fine of $227.58. Is that correct?
Yeah, let me find it again just to double check. I apologize. Just give me one moment.
No problem.
$227.58. That's correct, yes.
Okay, it's been moved and properly second. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Thank you.
The next appeal we have is from Ferris Frank Curitan. They're appealing 4 offenses for a total of $318.87. Once again, the Secretary of State's recommendation is to reduce that to the first fine and offense, just to uphold that first fine and offense and dismiss the remainder. So in this case, that would bring the fine down to $290.07. Is Mr. Curitan here today? They write in their appeal, this was their first time filing a report, and after reading the guidelines, their understanding was that they didn't have to file until their campaign either spent over $1,000 or received over $1,000 in contributions. They said that they did not receive over $1,000 in contributions. They received a total of $875, and their husband made a loan to his campaign, or they made a loan to their campaign for $1,000, and the total expenditures were $1,427, which exceeded the threshold in July. They were under the assumption that if they filed their report after the general election, it would be within the guidelines, and didn't realize that a late filing fee would be imposed. They said that the dates still aren't clear to them, but they will accept the deadline filing dates. But they're asking for the late filing fees to be dismissed because it was not their intention to violate any of the filing requirements.
I move to uphold the first offense and fine of $290.07 and dismiss the other 3 appeals.
Okay, is there a second? It's been moved and properly second. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed is nay. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Apologize once again, I am all out of order here.
No, that's okay.
Jackson State University PAC. Here it is. This one appeal comes from Jackson State University PAC. They are appealing 4 offenses with a total fine of $400. Same recommendation from the Secretary of State's office. In this case, it will reduce the fine to $300.
How much?
To $300. Is there a representative from Jackson State University PAC here? They write in their appeal that they served as the treasurer of this PAC since its founding, during which time they have maintained full compliance with the FCPA reporting requirements and have no history of late or missing filings. They request that the civil penalty be waived based on good cause related to the 2025 municipal election cycle. They say that all the contributions and expenditures were entered promptly, but the system did not clearly indicate that weekly reports were required in the reports due list below, nor were any email notifications sent. Upon discovering the oversight, they immediately self-reported and filed the necessary reports with assistance from Secretary of State staff. They say while they understand that a lack of awareness is not a legal defense, the system's interface did not clearly prompt the need to file additional reports, and opting into participating in election drop-down menu was not available on the link provided on the main page. They say nonetheless the electronic records should reflect their timely efforts to ensure transparency, and properly disclose all electioneering activity on the contributions and expenditures pages.
Okay.
Once again, same recommendation, and
Thank you.
and obviously there's not as many PACs that make contributions to municipal elections. That's not as frequent as some of the other elections that we routinely deal with, but the same rules do apply. And in this situation, once again, the history is that prior to this past cycle, the FCPA filings were to the probate courts and the probate judges in the local counties. Once it went to statewide with us, with our office, the same rules are there. It's just that I think people just assume different because of municipalities. So that's it.
I move to uphold the first offense and fine the amount of $300 and dismiss the remaining 3 appeals.
Properly second. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
The next one we have is a Mr. Tyron Colvin. They are appealing 4 offenses with a total fine of $370. Is Mayor Colvin here? They write in their appeal, they have been very diligent in keeping up with all of the filing requirements and obeying all the rules that they are required to follow. But this one about filing weekly during the runoff was not communicated to them, and they had no idea that they were in violation until they called the office asking if they could log campaign donations on the website before the next report was due. That is when they were informed that they had missed the past 4 filing deadlines. And they say that they were shocked by that. During the primary, they would always get a reminder that a report was due, but they never got one during the runoff. And referring to the 2025 election calendar that they had no idea that a weekly report had to be filed during the runoff, as it was not listed in the election calendar. And they say that they're a brand new candidate with this being their first time, and they were not aware of the filing requirement. And in this case, the Secretary of State's office's recommendation is the same, and here that would reduce the fine and offenses to 0, because the fine for the first offense is 0. You want to say anything on that?
Well, same rules apply. As far as the amount, this person was fortunate. Their first violation didn't have a monetary amount because of the transaction during that period, and so whereas some people routinely their first one tends to be a little higher because they tend to loan themselves money or that kickoff money, and that's why that first one's usually higher. This one's just a person who's fortunate on that amount, so it does drop it to 0. We still ask for the 1 violation, so there's a record, and that actually will make more sense here shortly as to why we do that.
And it also affects future offenses. If somebody were to have another violation later on, it increases the amount of the fine for future penalties.
Okay. All right. You have a motion?
I move to uphold the first offense with no fine and to dismiss the remaining 3 appeals.
Properly second. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
The final one we have before we can address the remainder en masse is from Stephanie Messenger. She is appealing 4 violations. The first one that's included in the list before you was actually dismissed at our October 1st, 2025 meeting. The Secretary of State's recommendation on this one is to uphold all of these violations and the fines and offenses associated with them. Is Ms. Messenger here? She writes in her appeal, she definitely needs to appeal disciplinary action for her filing or lack thereof for the runoff period during the campaign. She says she is sending this message to apologize for her ignorance in filing additional reports as a runoff candidate. As soon as she was aware, she filed them all on the same day immediately. She says she's truly had no idea and that she has learned a lot during the campaign. She says the rules are difficult to navigate as a new person who has no campaign manager and 0 experience in running a campaign and who's just wanting to serve on their city council. She says she is not one who ever breaks rules and definitely not a law. She is embarrassed for her ignorance and lack of knowledge and had no idea that she could call the Secretary of State's office to get instruction on how to run her campaign or file reports. She says she's doing the best she could and did not know the staff was there to help her, but she knows that now, and should she run again for another term or another office, she says she will be their best friend.
I forgot about that part. Okay. So members, the reason why this one is being handled differently is it's actually consistent with our history. many times, our own analyst or Jeff Elrod or myself will recommend to somebody when they have a first violation or, a second violation, to appeal. And we recommend that because we are trying to educate, we are trying to train. We're trying to get everybody accustomed to contacting our office to get information. If they're not sure, do not guess, call us, let us walk you through it. And we do that many, many times a day, and that's just what we do. That's part of our job, part of our role. However, in this situation, when this person had a prior appeal that we more than likely we probably recommended, as we would to many, many people, and the appeal was the case was dismissed. Now we routinely take this position that we'll do that once, that we'll recommend dismissal on a first go around because that's where you're learning. You've now seen how it works. You know how to call us and how to reach out. But after that, we can't be as dismissive about it. We have to have some standard. And so our standard has always been that we would agree to one dismissal in the election cycle, but we cannot agree to more. And at that point, we'd have to hold people responsible. And so that's the position we have to hold on this situation. And that's our recommendation.
Recommendation is all 5 of the offenses?
That's correct.
So 2, 3, 4, and 5, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have no problem with that recommendation.
And the total amount of the fine that's recommended would be just those on 2, 3, 4, and 5?
It'll be 2, 3, 4, and 5. I may need to go and double check the numbers after all of this, but if you just uphold the fines and offenses associated with that, we'll get the numbers.
All right, I move to uphold the offenses 2, 3, 4, and 5, and the fines as proposed or as assessed in those offenses.
Properly second. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we have a list of appeals that the Secretary of State's recommendation is to dismiss all the fines and offenses associated with them. So I would ask that you all address those en masse. If there's any in particular that you would like to discuss in that list, I'm happy to do so.
I'll go ahead and move
All right. Okay. Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second? Okay, it's been moved and properly second. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay, we will now go into executive session to discuss matters relating to the character and reputation of certain public officials or employees, as well as matters covered by the Grand Jury Secrecy Act. No matters will be discussed which are outside the scope of the state guidelines permitting meetings in executive session. We expect to reconvene in approximately 1 hour. All recording devices, videos, and audios must be removed from the room. Anyone secretly recording the executive session will be in violation of the state law. Do I have a motion to go into executive session? Okay, is there a second? Okay, no discussion. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Opposed is nay. The motion carries unanimously. We go into executive session. Yeah.
We slow down at the office.
Yeah.
He just probably here to bill somebody.
You got it all figured out.
Yeah, that's right. Don't they get paid on bill of hours? Okay, we're now back in open session and will consider several items of business, including taking official actions on complaints discussed during executive sessions. We will now consider cases presented during executive session. In the matters regarding case number 2025-0229, how do I hear?
Mr. Chair, with regard to the complaint that's filed against case number 2025-0229, I move as follows. Based on the evidence that's presented to this commission, there exists cause to hold that Ronnie Shoemake, County Commissioner, Marshall County Commission, has committed one minor violation of the Alabama Ethics Act. I further move that this case be handled administratively and that it be referred for review and appropriate legal action to the district attorney with the appropriate judicial circuit.
That's second. It's been moved and properly second. Any further discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion opposes nay. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay. In the matters regarding case number 2025-0261, do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, with regards to the complaint as filed against case number 2025-0261, I move as follows. Based on the evidence as presented to this commission, there exists cause to hold that Teresa Miller, Child Nutrition Program Manager, Madison County Board of Education, has committed one minor violation of the Alabama Ethics Act. I further move that this case be handled administratively and that it be referred for review and appropriate legal action to the district attorney of the appropriate judicial circuit.
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes nay. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. In the matters regarding case number 2025-0353, do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, in regard to the complaint is filed against case number 2025-0353, I move as follows. Based on the evidence that's presented to this commission, there exists cause to hold that Michelle King, member of the Cab City School Board of Education, has committed one minor violation of the Alabama Ethics Act. I further move that this case be handled administratively and that it be referred for review and appropriate legal action to the district attorney with the appropriate judicial circuit.
Second.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Opposes nay. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. In the matters regarding case number 2025-0209, do I have a motion?
I've got that down as you, I think the sheet's wrong. Greg,
You got that,
I've got that, usually you would do that when it was wrong.
Okay. Mr. Chair, with regard to the complaint as filed against case number 2025-0209, I move as follows. Based on the evidence presented to this commission, there exists cause to hold that Stephen Bryson, athletic coach, Coleman County Board of Education, has violated the Alabama Ethics Act. I further remove that this case be referred for review and appropriate legal action to the district attorney of the appropriate judicial circuit.
I second the motion.
Okay, it's been moved and properly second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes nay. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay, in the matters regarding case number 2025-0210, do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, in regard to the complaint that's filed against case number 2025-0210, I move as follows. Based on the evidence that's presented to this commission, there exists cause to hold that Samantha Bryson, teacher, Coleman County Board of Education, has committed one minor violation of the Alabama Ethics Act. I further move that this case be handled administratively, and that it be referred for review and appropriate legal action to the district attorney for the appropriate judicial circuit.
Okay, is there a
Second.
second? It's been moved and properly second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes nay. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. In the matters regarding case number 2025-0369, do I have a motion?
I've got that one,
Yeah.
right? Okay. Mr. Chair, in regard to the complaints filed against case number 2025-0369, I move as follows. Based on the evidence as presented to this commission, there exists cause to hold that Douglas Fuller, former Assistant Vice President of Client Relations, Auburn University, has committed one minor violation of the Alabama Ethics Act. I further move this case be handled administratively and that be referred for review and appropriate legal action to the district attorney for the appropriate judicial circuit.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes nay. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. In the matters regarding case number 2025-0102, do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, with regard to the complaint as filed against case number 2025-0102, I move as follows. Based on the evidence presented to this commission, there exists cause to hold that James Oakley, Mayor, City of Centerville, has committed one minor violation of the Alabama Ethics Act. I further move that this case be handled administratively and that it be referred for review and appropriate legal action to the district attorney of the appropriate judicial circuit.
Second. Okay, it's been moved and properly second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes nay. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. In the matters regarding case number 2025-0158, do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, with regard to the complaint as filed against case number 2025-10158, I move as follows. Based on the evidence as presented to this commission, there exists cause to hold that Varick Taylor, Community Waiver Program Coordinator, Alabama Department of Mental Health, has violated the Alabama Ethics Act. I further move that this case be referred for review and appropriate legal action to the district attorney of the appropriate judicial circuit.
Moved and properly second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Opposes nay. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay. Okay, Mr. Director, what is the next item of business for us to consider?
Mr. Chair, you have before you a list of cases which the staff of the Ethics Commission recommends dismissing because there is insufficient evidence supporting finding the probable cause. I would ask that you please consider those cases and if appropriate, request a motion dismissing those in one very well mass.
Okay,
I'll make that motion.
okay. That motion has been moved and properly second to dismiss all en masse. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Mr. Director, is there any other business for us to consider?
Yes, sir. At this time, it's appropriate for you to issue final disposition of all administrative resolutions which have been previously approved by the Attorney General or the appropriate district attorney.
Okay. All right.
Stephen Miller.
Yep. Mhm.
On October 1, 2025, the Alabama Ethics Commission unanimously found Stephen Meldrum, Southern Regional Maintenance Coordinator, Alabama Department of Corrections, had committed one minor violation of the Alabama Ethics Act and approved an administrative resolution at the request of the respondent. The commission forwarded the case to the district attorney of the 3rd Judicial Circuit, who approved the administrative resolution on October 27th, 2025. Accordingly, I hereby move as follows. An administrative penalty in the amount of $100 be ordered by the commission to be paid to the Ethics Commission by cashier's check, money order, or online payment on or before April 1, 2026. There is no restitution owing for this minor violation.
Okay, it's been moved and properly second. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously. Okay, Mr. Director, is there any other business for us to consider?
Yes, sir. The Code of Alabama allows the commission to adjust the amount that is considered de minimis for items under the code. A couple of years ago, we increased that from $25 up to $32. Of course, this is based on the Consumer Price Index. Looking at those figures again, it is appropriate at this time to raise the de minimis amount to $35 or less per occasion with an aggregate of $70 annually, and we ask that you do that at this time.
All right. Do you have a motion to approve adjusting the amount?
I'll move.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay. All right, next one here is the approval of adjusting the base pay.
Yes, sir, that's for the statements of economic interest. Likewise, the code allows you to raise that amount based
Okay.
on the CPI as well.
Okay. All right, do I have a motion for approving, to approve adjusting the base pay threshold for those required by the file of statement of economic interest?
I'll move.
Is there a
I'll second.
second? Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Opposed is nay. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay, at this time, we will conduct a performance appraisal on Mr. Albritton and determine whether he should adjust, we should adjust his salary. Because he files a statement of economic interest, this evaluation must be done during the public session of our meeting. Having reviewed the job description of the position of Executive Director, and based on our knowledge of the Director's performance in this role, as well as our knowledge of staff performance, we conclude that the current Director has satisfactorily performed the duties of his position, including the management of the staff, the finances, and the commission. We are satisfied with the work of the investigators and other staff of the commission, and will incorporate these conclusions into a written appraisal which reflect these findings. At this time, I do have a motion based on the performance appraisal to approve a 2% raise for the Director.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
A second.
Okay, any further discussion?
Is this debatable?
Absolutely it is. Now is the time to say it.
I second.
It's been moved and properly second that we do this 2% performance. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We think our Director has done an admirable job.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. All right, we've concluded our official business at this time. I'd like to announce the next meeting will be Wednesday, February 4th, day before my birthday, at 9:30 a.m. All right, as if no other business to come before this commission, I'd like to call for a motion to adjourn.
You got it.
You're always the one.
Absolutely.
All right.
Best motion there is.
Okay, it's been moved and properly second. It's